Say good morning. So, good evening to all, and it's nice to be back in Staten Island again. My name is Dennis Walcott, and I'd like to officially start the meeting. And as we normally do, I'd like to start, but I'm going to start it a little differently today. I'm going to have our commissioners who are virtual today give their introductions, and then we'll go to the individuals who are here. So, commissioners, Commissioner Johnson, you want to start, and then we go from there.
Sure thing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Johnson, and I'm from Brooklyn. Thank you.
Jovan?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jovan Collado. I'm from the Bronx.
And Maria?
Hi, Maria Mateo from Queens.
Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us virtually. And the judge, you want to start us off?
I'm Marilyn Go. I'm a retired magistrate judge from Brooklyn, and I live in Brooklyn.
Kevin Hanratty, I'm from Queens.
I'm Mike Schnall, the only Staten Islander on the panel. Woohoo! Okay.
Yes, Marv Misbah Udin, Uddin, from Queens.
John is not on.
John Flatteau, Executive Director.
Thank you, John. And wow, I tell you, Mark getting his little props and John getting his applause. I tell you, that's lovely. We're going to start off, and if Paul Casali, representing the council member, can start us off, we look forward to hearing you.
Adjust the microphone a bit here. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and District and Commission members. It's a pleasure to be here and join you this evening. My name is Paul Casali, and I am the Budget and Legislative Director for City Councilwoman Camilla Hanks. Tonight, I am sharing testimony on behalf of the Councilwoman, who represents the North Shore of Staten Island, right here in District 49. The council member would like to reiterate the need to keep Staten Island whole in this redistricting process, and she is pleased to see that the draft maps reflect that goal. Since the maps were released, some have suggested that they violate the principle of, quote, one person, one vote, unquote, or state or city law. The councilwoman strongly disagrees with that suggestion. The proposed districting map follows the criteria laid out by the city charter and the state law. The population of every council district in these proposed maps is within the 5% variance that was imposed by state law. The proposed map for Staten Island, in particular, follows the charter guidelines to keep council districts geographically compact, not cross borough or county boundaries, and to preserve neighborhoods and communities with established ties of common interest, specifically historical, racial, ethnic, and economic. Most importantly, this proposed map does not diminish the effective representation of Staten Island voters. The councilwoman would like to express her appreciation to the commissioners and the staff of the Districting Commission for their hard work and the attention to detail given to these maps. She believes they achieve the nonpartisan goals of the commission to draw fair maps that keep communities of interest intact. Thank you very much for the chance to speak this evening.
And thank you for your testimony, sir. Next is Ambassador Professor Shabani. Right here. I don't see Ed Josie yet. Okay, we'll come back. Stephanie Chavao.
There we go. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Chair Walcott, and all of our commissioners, including the wonderful Michael Schnall. Thank you, Mr. Flatteau, for joining us this evening, and all of the my family members, and Mr. Casali here for the council member. I'm here to speak on behalf of former council member Debbie Rose, and she sends this as follows. Good afternoon, Chairman Walcott and Districting Commission members. Welcome to Staten Island. I am Debbie Rose, the most recent former council member for the 49th City Council District and the first ever Black elected official on Staten Island, and I had the privilege of representing the North Shore for 12 years. It's good to see you, Chair Walcott, as you are no stranger to Staten Island and the uniqueness herein. The census tells a story that documents the historic applications of redlining, which created barriers to housing in other parts of Staten Island that have resulted in the North Shore of Staten Island being the most densely populated, the highest concentration of Black and Hispanics, while Staten Island has a relatively small Black population, it is mostly concentrated in the northernmost neighborhoods. From Mariners Harbor, Arlington, Graniteville to Rosebank, Shore Acres, and Park Hill, with I skipped something. Graniteville to Rosebank with 9,000, Shore Acres and Park Hill, 5,600, with the Asian and Black populations being the fastest growing populations on Staten Island. There are also twice as many Hispanics living in the North Shore, 49,928 to be exact, since the census of 2020. 49th District is home to 32% Hispanic, 23% Black, 11% Asian, making it the most racially and ethnically diverse district. The Redistricting Commission is charged by the City Charter to ensure the fair and effective representation of racial and language minority groups protected by the Voting Rights Act and to keep neighborhoods and communities intact. I can't think of another district in Staten Island that better fits the criteria set forth by the City Charter. The dissolution of the 49th District as it stands now would only serve to disenfranchise communities that have struggled to overcome the economic, health, educational, housing, transportation, and political disparities that exist. The facts are families on the North Shore are rent burdened, 49% paying 35% of their income or more for rent. They live in food and transportation deserts. Their children attend subpar, consistently underperforming schools. For example, PS 78 serving Stapleton and Clifton is a 47% Hispanic, 40% Black, 16% white in English language learners, 98% homeless or economically disadvantaged. Has performed more poorly than 90% of all New York City schools. The economic needs of these schools are profound and is exacerbated by that added need to address social detriments such as access to health care, green spaces, healthy food, social, civic, and neighborhood networks, and second language support. Our communities on the North Shore need to be able to raise their voices in concert to elect representatives that know and understand the district and the constituents' needs. That can't be accomplished if the North Shore District is expanded into Brooklyn or Manhattan. Besides, I'm sure that there will not be another district in any of the boroughs that can be contiguous. I'm sure there are other districts in the other boroughs that can be contiguous, that can be extended into other boroughs that are not separated by a body of water. I understand that while the Commission's goal is to redraw maps with average population of 172,631 human beings under the 5% rule, districts can have as small a population of 166,000 to 178,000 people. The current population in this district is 170, come back, I lost it, hold on. It's the problem of reading from the phone. Things disappear in a hurry. Okay, the current population in District 49 is 171,145, just 1,486 people shy of your projected goal. We're asking you to apply the 5% rule, keep the North Shore intact as it exists today. I want to commend the Commission under the leadership of Dennis Walcott for the manner in which you've conducted the July Staten Island redistricting hearing. I especially appreciate the level of Oh, here we go again. Sorry, people. I think I will end there. I think the bottom line is she thanks all of you for your kind attention to what's been said here by my neighbors and my friends. Thank you.
And thank you very much as well. I saw Ed Josie walk in. Mr. Josie? I did. I know. I saw him right there. Yes, sir. You're up. And we've been joined also on the virtual line by Commissioner Portia. And Doctor, we want to say hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I see your
Hello.
name. Yeah, okay.
Glad to be on.
It's a pleasure to have you, and also here in person by Commissioner Soren.
Good afternoon, Lisa Soren from the Bronx.
Thank you very much. Mr. Josie? Oh, yeah, nope, just introducing folks while you were walking up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ed Josie. I'm the president of Staten Island branch of NAACP, and I testified the first time in July when you were here. And at that time, I said we should keep Staten Island's 3 districts, 49, 50, 51, intact as they are, with no invasion of Brooklyn, Manhattan, or any other borough. Now, recently, Ms. Adams, who was the speaker for the city council, came forth and said that there was a issue with the population in the boroughs in this district in Staten Island. Well, that might be so, but at this point now, when you look at Staten Island racially over the 3 districts, the Advance a few years back started a column about the inequities on Staten Island, and they were trying to highlight the North Shore. Now, when you get elected to city council or any other position in government, you are to represent all the people in the Staten Island or the city, not just a particular district. Now, when you look at the schooling on Staten Island, you might get the impression that the North Shore schools are a separate entity from the East Shore and the South Shore schools. But despite that, I would rather not see Brooklyn or Manhattan become part of Staten Island. Now, looking at Manhattan, you have the financial district down there, okay? Now, that's a neighborhood down there that's pretty well off financially and a lot of famous people. So by branching us with them, you have nothing in common besides getting a numbers game straightened out. Financially and culturally speaking, they have nothing in common with the North Shore. Now in Brooklyn, I would see the same thing in Brooklyn. They have nothing at all in common with the North Shore of Staten Island. So beyond the number game you're playing, I see no particular reason why we should merge with anybody in Brooklyn or Manhattan. I understand what you're talking about number-wise, but culture-wise, economic-wise, I don't see any particular reason why it should be done that way. So what they might do is impose a 5% project that was mentioned and go forth with the district as they are right now, keep the ball intact. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Josie. Next up is Josie Robinson. Jazzy? Okay. Not yet? Okay, no problem. Essence Scott? Patrick Johnson? William Stanford?
You admitted the rest, but that's fine. Here in Staten Island, which became Gilligan's Farm with Hurricane Sandy, we have 3 city council districts. It's smaller than my borough. Both boroughs, as you know, are the forgotten boroughs. So if you want to redraw lines here in Staten Island, this is what you could do. Put District 50 inside District 49, rename District 51 50. Could do that. That's all you should do here in Staten Island. In my borough, well, in Queens, many, last night, many speakers said keep Ozone Park, Richmond Hill together. I agree, you should keep them together. There's no need to break them up. And as I said yesterday, This isn't break up to make up like the stylistics. Okay, I understand the city charter require you to redraw the lines. The city charter didn't require you to break up to make up like the stylistics. The city charter didn't require you to do what they did at Halloween Half in '92, which is spin the wheel and make the deal. Okay, the city charter require you to keep the communities together. And I sincerely hope you keep them together. Because according to the maps, or what I was told, you didn't keep them together. You proposed maps that confused many New Yorkers to the point, well, what are you doing? Remember, you're supposed to redraw the lines, not direct traffic. There's a difference between redrawing the lines and directing traffic. So yes, Queens-wise, keep Olsen Park and Richmond Hill together. That's common sense. Okay, the Rockaways, starting from Rockaway Park to Far Rockaway, keep them together. Because all those, some of those neighborhoods are served by the A train. So common sense, keep them together. Okay, regarding your 822 public hearing, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I recommend you start it earlier, because as you know, the following day is primary election day, and some people are working as poll workers. So if you let it end at 9 p.m., it'll be hard for some of us to get enough sleep before we arrive at the poll sites at 5 a.m. So if you can change the timer or just change the date, I would be glad to appreciate it. And also, in the future, when you hold public hearings, you shouldn't run them overtime, which you did in Queens. You almost put me to sleep. And my only regret is that you two didn't tell me a bedtime story. It would have been nice if you could have told me a bedtime story. That would have been glad. I would have felt better. So if you have to put me to sleep, can you tell me a bedtime story, a good bedtime story that I can understand, I can relate to? It would be gladly appreciated. And also, if I'm the first one who signs the sheet, regardless if I register or pre-register, and you have to put someone above me, can you inform me so I know what's happening? Because that's not what you did in Queens. I had to wait over 4 hours before I could speak, and no one told me what was happening. So I'd like you to keep me informed, not misinformed, uninformed, so I don't get the idea that you're railroading me. I don't get the idea you're pushing me around. I don't get the idea you walk over me like a doormat. I don't get the idea you're using me as a stepping stone to get what you want. I don't get the idea that you're orchestrating nasty attacks on me. Because I see the MTA, which sends money thrown away, do that. So let's work together. Let's work with, not against each other. So I would appreciate it. Okay? So if you can, please reschedule the 822 public hearing only because the poll workers need to be well rested for 823. Is it that, or they can't report work and get paid?
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Okay, so we're going to take a hot second just to move the stenographer, so the stenographer is in a better position, then we'll start again. So we'll do several more in person, and then we'll go to the virtual. And just to get ready, is Faye Hill here? Okay, that's virtual. And then, is it Rodrigo Camarena? And Susan Colon, or Cullen? No, okay. Jean Hall? Okay. Okay. Fayhill?
I'm here.
Good evening. You're on.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioner. Good evening, Commissioners. And thank you for having me an opportunity to comment on redistricting map proposed by the Redistricting Commissioner on July of this year. I was not able to come on Tuesday because I did not get the link. I had to call today to get me the link to get onto my testimony, to get to testify. I'd like to first say that I would like the community, as a longtime resident of District 31, the only change that is needed is to include all of JFK Airport in the district because of the following. First, JFK was previously a part of the District 31, so this change would simply correct an error from the last redistricting cycle. Second, the community of Rosedale, Brookville, Laurelton, Springfield Gardens, Elmer, Far Rockaway, and Alverne, which is currently in the district, are directly in the airport flight path. Therefore, consolidating JFK Airport under one district umbrella will make it easier to holistically address current and future concerns. Additionally, JFK is currently represented by one congressional state Senate and Assembly member, so there is simply no need to two separate council members to retain the airport in their district. The rest of District 31 should remain intact because of the historical and common characteristics, example race, political party, geography, and type of home ownership, consistent in each of our communities, which should not be tampered with. I cited evidence to support this statement. Rosedale, Laurelton, Brookville, and our portion of Springfield Gardens are contiguous. Their communities are Black registered Democratic voters, and the residents are primarily one and two family owners. The issues we face are consistent, whether it is improving education, ensuring access to health service, protecting the environment, tackling airport noise, dealing with flooding, creating jobs, or providing accurate public safety for residents and family. For decades, this district civic association, example, Eastern Queens Alliance, Rosedale Civic Association, Federated Bloc of Laurelton, Concerned Citizens of Laurelton, Springfield Rosedale Community Action Association, Spring Guard Association, and Spring Garden Taxpayers and Civic Association have worked closely together at all levels of government to address these issues to drive needed changes. We have also launched special task force, example, the 116 Precinct Community Task Force, Southeastern Queens Zoning Preservation Task Force, and Queens Community Task Force against illegal truck parking to fight for new precinct and to focus on most important quality of life issue in our community. The Rockaways and Alverne by the Sea community should also remain intact within the 31st district because they share similar characteristics in the district's mainland communities. For example, Far Rockaway portion of the district make up of primarily Black Democrats who are one or two family owners. Any changes would split the Democratic vote, disrupt the political dynamics, and negatively impact the interests and desire of its residents. To preserve and to continually advance the common interests and concern of District 31, I petition the commissioner to keep our district intact, with only exception being included JFK Airport in its entirety in the district to restore the continuity that exists before. Thank you again for my comments, to receiving my comments. Respectfully, Faye Hale, also the district leader for Assembly District 31B. Thank you, commissioners. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Have a good evening. All right, we'll go back in person, then we'll do some more virtual. I missed the name Patrick Johnson. Is Patrick Johnson here? If not, then Reverend Terry Troyer.
Dr. Flateau and the whole Redistricting Commission. My name is Terry Troyer. I am a New York City Human Rights Commissioner. I am a third-generation North Shore person living in New Brighton and working in Port Richmond. And I'm here tonight as chair of the Staten Island Task Force on Racial Inclusion and Equity, a project of the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. I speak in favor of the preliminary redistricting of the map provided by this commission of District 49, Staten Island, that was released recently. And I urge the commission to use the 5% rule to keep the North Shore intact as one council district. The city charter requires that the council districts maintain a cohesive representation of Black, Brown, Asian, and other non-white communities in order to better represent the minority communities in the district. We are the only minority-majority district in Staten Island. Splitting the district and aligning it with Lower Manhattan, Brooklyn, or even the 50th Council District, Mid-Island, would erode the leadership and representation of the minority communities and reduce the resources to address the problems that plague many of our North Shore impoverished communities. The 49th District, for example, is the only environmental justice district on Staten Island, which means there's a history of non-environmentally friendly exposures such as brownfields, arsenic contamination, and lead contamination in our communities, a result of industrial waste being discarded without proper precautions in years past. And as an environmental justice district, we need our council member to actively seek remediation of environmental harm that plagues this district. And splitting the district again takes away from the concentrated resources for such remediation. The North Shore has been historically excluded from economic development, full educational opportunities, and adequate health care access and viable, affordable housing. We need tremendous services in this district that are very different from the rest of Staten Island, including youth job development, economic opportunities, educational improvement, quality and affordable health care, and affordable, safe, and secure housing. This represents a unity of need that requires the attention, advocacy, and resources that can and must be directed to our 49th district. To split the district will result in resources being suctioned off to other boroughs or districts that do not have the same pressing human needs, the same unity of need as our neighborhoods, therefore contributing to the social and economic disenfranchisement of minority communities in the North Shore. Thank you for keeping our district intact.
Thank you, Reverend Troyer. Next up is it Andrew Fairley, and then Teresa, is it Sanjane? And then Tatiana is after that. So, Andrew?
Hi, my name is Andrew Fairley. I don't think I'll be speaking too long today. I'll try to keep it short. Thank you for your time. Born on Staten Island, moved away a lot, always come back. I started working in the human services field about 3 years ago. I've worked with the 3 of the largest non-for-profit organizations on Staten Island, and a lot of my focus has been on the North Shore. And I do have to say, I do consider it a privilege to be able to work with the North Shore of Staten Island. It's an amazing community, it's a welcoming community, and it is so resilient, but it is suffering. And I say that from firsthand experience in my line of work. Every single day we are helping someone that can't get food, that can't get health care, they can't get services, they can't get child care, they can't get their education. And it's not because of the socioeconomic factors affecting New York City, it's because of the unique socioeconomic factors affecting Staten Island that we run into this. Because if I were in Brooklyn, I'd be able to make my referrals 1, 2, 3, right? But I can't do that here. I have to figure out where my clients need to go to get the help, right? So if we're redistricting and we're including part of Brooklyn in our district, we're not going to get the attention that we need. The numbers are not going to reflect what's happening in this very unique district. Because I've lived in Boston, I've lived in California, I've lived in Florida, and I gotta say, there is nothing like the North Shore of Staten Island, right? It really, truly is an incredible place. I implore you to keep the district the way it is, because we are struggling to help the people already that need help. And by keeping the district the way it is, we can keep our focus going the way it's going. We can keep working on the systems that we've been working on that are helping. But if we have to change all that up, I don't think we're going to have as much of an effect as we could. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for coming.
And thank you for your testimony as well. Is Teresa here?
Thank you so much. I want to take a minute to thank the chair and all the commissioners of the New York City Districting Commission for organizing this second series of public hearings. My name is Teresa Thanjan, and I am a lifelong resident of St. George. I'm also the Senior Manager of Organizing and Strategy at the New York Immigration Coalition. The New York Immigration Coalition advocates for laws and policies to improve the lives of immigrants and all New Yorkers, particularly those who live in lower income neighborhoods. We are dedicated to ensuring fair representation for immigrants and communities in color across New York City. I'm a lifelong resident of St. George as well, and it's been a sincere pleasure to see the diverse immigrant communities in this neighborhood grow. From communities including but not limited to Latin America, Asian and African countries. These communities are our friends, our neighbors. They were the essential workers who kept us afloat during the pandemic, and it's incredible to see how they have been there for us. And I think it's really important that we make sure to keep District 49 intact so that we can continue to build political power, not only for immigrants, but for all the communities in this area of Staten Island. So I am here today to express the need for District 49 to be kept together in one city council district. Fair representation and fair redistricting are crucial when it comes to centering the voices of our communities. The city has the opportunity to ensure fair political representation and power for all New Yorkers. I thank the Commission for committing to an open process and for maintaining a website with information on the redistricting process, upcoming meetings, and submissions. Moving forward, I urge this Commission to take a proactive role in engaging with community organizations and ethnic media across the city. Thank you again, and thanks also to the many partners who are in this fight for fair maps and fair representation.
Thank you for your testimony. Is Tatiana here?
Good evening, and thank you, Chair Walcott and the entire Redistricting Commission for joining us and coming to Staten Island. My name is Tatiana Arguello. I am the Executive Director of the Staten Island Non-for-Profit Association. We provide resources, support, advocacy for the borough's nonprofit leaders and organizations to help strengthen our sector and meet the needs of our communities. I have seen firsthand in this role the need for more advocacy and resources on Staten Island. This is why the association existed and was created in the first place, so that we are not forgotten. I speak in favor of the maps and to keep the 49th district entirely on Staten Island. In a previous role, I led the census effort in 2020. I saw firsthand how difficult it was to make sure that we counted. And then we must remember, we did this in the middle of a pandemic, so midway through this count, there was something called stopping and starting, and the census was an opportunity for us to make sure that we were getting an accurate count, but this was disrupted by so many different deadlines. I mention this because I don't think a real count happened on the 49th district. I also want to mention that the needs on the North Shore is massive and unique. This district is so diverse, and this is something that we should celebrate on Staten Island. We cannot afford to share our city council member, as there is already enough to juggle in this district, and it is a real challenge. We must keep Staten Island whole, as our needs are different and unique from the rest of the city. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Is Esmeralda Tolbert here?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner members, to hear us today. My name is Esmeralda Tolbert, and I'm a community organizer from El Centro del Inmigrante and resident and worker in the 49th District, the North Shore and Staten Island. Redistricting affects me and the people that I serve, and I'm here to represent my family and my community. Staten Island has particular characteristics that make it special. As a county of New York City, we face different problems, and this is why we need to keep the District 49, the North Shore District together. So our council member devote the funds, resources, time, and effort to remind. I'm sorry, and make safe our communities again. We need a council member that represents us in the city council and make sure that we get access to economic programs, young programs, health access, and food programs. Please don't affix any part of New York Shore, the North Shore, to any other district. I'm here for those who cannot be, who don't feel welcome in these spaces and who don't feel comfortable speaking up, because these things need to be said. All New Yorkers deserve to have a voice in this local democracy, and it's your responsibility to ensure that promise. Thank you, and thank you for our voices.
And thank you for your testimony. We'll do one more and a person, then we'll go to virtual. Is Maria Ramos here?
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Maria Ramos, and I have lived in Staten Island since 2001. And today I'm here representing the minority Latino community for the North Division of Staten Island North Shore. Staten Island is known as the forgotten borough, and I felt that any division would result in us begin forgotten completely, since they would give priority to the needs of the largest county, and we may not even quality for resources in the future. I want my community to receive all the necessary resources to dignify, fair, and healthy life. Thank you. I'm sorry, it's the first time I speak
Don't apologize.
English.
You're fine.
But I'm trying for my community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And no need to apologize. You are excellent. Thank you very much. We'll go to the virtual, and is it Danielle Maury?
I was going to apologize for having just gotten over COVID and speaking, but I'm not speaking in English for the first time. That's really incredible, and I think she deserves another round of applause for that. That was really impressive. I just wanted to say thank you again for having these hearings, and I'm calling from Brooklyn, from Bay Ridge, and while I'm not in Staten Island, I do lay a little claim. My great uncle did work on the Verrazano Bridge, so there's that, and I'm also in Bay Ridge, which we can see the Verrazano Bridge and we can see Staten Island. So thank you for accommodating us at this meeting as well. I'm just wanting to speak out as a Bay Ridge resident for years now, that when I look at how our neighborhood has gotten parceled up, I'm really not understanding the logic behind it, because our neighborhood is very cohesive, and like it or not, a lot of our neighborhoods in New York are defined by highways as well. So Bay Ridge does really stretch to where like the BQE entrance is, and where 3rd Avenue curves down and goes into Sunset Park. It's kind of cut off there. And then 86th Street does stretch into Dyker Heights, and a lot of families move from Bay Ridge to Dyker Heights and move into different areas like that. So it's very community based. It's often you'll go to like work out on 86th Street and there's people from Dyker Heights just as much as there's people from further down 3rd Avenue. And I noticed another line that was divided too, is that it seems that our neighborhood's chopped from 3rd Avenue below, and that parts of 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue are cut off. And it's just really, if you were to come here and visit, and I know time's limited and you're not able to do that for every neighborhood in New York City, but just as somebody who lives here, I can tell you that it's very much, we're not going into Sunset Park for our needs, because that involves crossing highways and things. We're further going into Dyker Heights, or we're going further into Bay Ridge, or we're going up to 6th Avenue or down to 2nd Avenue or Ridge Avenue. And that's really like our little section. And so right now, I believe that there's so many other representatives that cover that same area, and school boards and school districts and the precinct for the police. It's all very much centered on a certain area. And I know there's been some local groups that had some suggestions for different maps, and I'll include that with some written testimony that, you can take a look at and see. But, there's all that cohesion. And I would just like to add one more aspect to this as well, if I still have a moment. As somebody who's Arab American, I noticed too that when you divide up the neighborhood, we have a very strong Arab American and Arabic community, and splitting up our neighborhood diffuses that, because there's chunks of it that are on 3rd Avenue, there's chunks of it that are on 5th Avenue closer to the 60s, but they're all in Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights, and they all are very much of a group, and they live on Shore Road and everything. So that, on top of the Irish and the Italian and Norwegian neighborhood that's been here historically, and the Hispanic and the Chinese and the Arabic neighborhood that's growing, it all gets chopped up and diffused if Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights are splintered into, I think it was 4 or 5 different parts, including like me. I'm like on the edge of like 3 different districts, and I don't even know which one I'll end up falling in. So it's just kind of frustrating. And I know this is a really difficult job, and I don't envy you for having it. But as somebody who's lived in Bay Ridge for years now, I just wanted to stress that point of how much we really, love our neighborhood. We love our strolls, we love our parades, and we're a very like cohesive community. And we'd love to stay that way in terms of representation and in terms of districting as well. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for your testimony as well. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Next up is Frank Morano.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, and see you as well.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard this evening. I realize that being on a commission like this is often sort of a thankless job, and your reward for having people like me complain to you in all 5 boroughs is that you don't get paid and you get to work more. And I hope you realize that even though you generally hear a lot of complaints about what you're not doing, that many New Yorkers, including me, really appreciate your public service. And I'm here today to speak primarily in support of adopting the recommendations put forth in the initial draft that you came up with. Since 1898, one constant in city government has been that Staten Island has generally gotten screwed. As Commissioner Schnall, who's a longtime student of Staten Island history and government, can tell you, there's no shortage of areas where Staten Island gets the short end of the stick. I mean, what you go down the list, Staten Island is the only borough without a public hospital. Staten Island is the only borough without a subway linking it to the rest of the city. And it has a mass transit system which is so woefully inadequate that it's led Staten Islanders to having some of the longest commutes in the entire country. We're the only borough without regular street cleaning, even though our residents pay just as much as taxes as everyone else does. We've become accustomed to seeing zoning and traffic regulations opposed by local communities, forced upon them by city hall bureaucrats who often have no appreciation for the unique character and culture of Staten Island neighborhoods. Most egregiously, as a lot of you remember, Staten Island was the literal dumping ground for the rest of the city's trash for the better part of the city. Now, why does this happen? Quite simply, it happens because Staten Island's population gives us little meaningful voice in steering the ship of government. Now, that wasn't always the case. In the days of the Board of Estimate or when there was council members at large, we did have a little bit more of an equal seat at the table, but those days are over, and we felt the sting of those changes on Staten Island. We have almost no voice when it comes to controlling our destiny. We're now in a position where even if every single Staten Islander votes a certain way for a candidate or on a certain issue, our votes are dwarfed by the will of the rest of the city. It's for these reasons that our elected officials have to fight so much harder and so much smarter than the rest of the city's elected officials just to have a seat at the table, as evidenced by the fact that you have testimony today and in previous hearings from both Republican and Democratic elected officials urging you to keep Staten Island's 3 council districts intact. We really don't have parties in Staten Island, at least not when it comes to fighting for Staten Island's fair share. Our elected officials are and have been warriors, and to diminish their constituency or attempt to erode the power of the people they represent by forcing voters to pay a toll to meet with their elected official or forcing a council member to divide their attention from Staten Island's unique needs and concerns, it would be a tremendous injustice. If you look at Staten Island over the last 30 years, since we've had 3 council members, they've all put aside their partisan, ethnic, or gender differences and fought as a single unit for Staten Island when it counted. This was true in the days when the island was represented by Steve Fiala in the South Shore, John Fusco in the Mid-Island, and Jay O'Donovan in the North Shore. It was true when it was Andy Lanza in the South Shore, Jimmy Otto in the Mid-Island, and Mike McMahon in the North Shore. It was true when it was Vinny Ignizio in the South Shore, Steve Matteo in the Mid-Island, and Debbie Rose in the North Shore. And it's certainly true now with Joe Borelli in the South Shore, David Michael Carr in the Mid-Island, and Camilla Hanks in the North Shore. So I implore you, on behalf of all Staten Islanders from coast to coast, shore to shore, let Staten Island's council delegation keep fighting together. Now, for people watching this in the rest of the city, or people that think that we're asking for something that we're really not entitled to, it may seem like because of the population differential that's been raised by Speaker Adams and her surrogates that we're getting special treatment. We're not. Just as the Staten Island Ferry was made free 25 years ago because there was a recognition that Staten Island wasn't being adequately provided for in terms of transportation, the powers that be at the time decided to throw us a bone because of that recognition. We're also not being adequately provided for now in terms of having a governmental voice. So throw us a bone on this one. Additionally, if Staten Island districts are merged with communities in Brooklyn or another borough, that would be a tremendous injustice to the residents of that borough. I mean, if you think about it, after all, if a council member's district is 75 to 80% Staten Island, where do you think their focus is going to be? Is it fair to the residents of that other borough to be an afterthought in the minds of the council member from Staten Island or their staff? I don't think so.
Can you start to wrap up?
Lastly, yes, lastly,
Sure.
if the commission ignores these preliminary recommendations that you've come up with, even though every single person who's testified on this question tonight has asked you to preserve our districts, it sends a terrible message to the public at large. First, it sends the message that the public testimony doesn't matter and that these hearings are nothing more than a dog and pony show. Secondly, it sends the message to future elected officials that shaming one borough and attempting to embarrass a community's elected official passes for effective governance. Either way, that's not the message that I think you'd want to send. Do the right thing. Let Staten Island's elected officials continue to fight as a unit for Staten Island. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Reem, next up virtually is Reem, is it Jafar?
Yes, Reem Jafar, thank you so much. I first wanted to thank you for this work because I know, just like Frank said, it's a thankless work. So thank you for this, doing this important work. As you see, I speak with an accent, but I'm not shy to speak. And I'm currently a resident of Bay Ridge, but I have decided to come to this particular testimony. I'm currently in the 43rd City Council District, and with the new map that we're drawn by the Commission, I would be mapped into the 38th. I am very active in my community. I'm currently the president of the Bay Ridge Democrat. And I'm personally an immigrant of Arab heritage, and I moved to this amazing community 19 years ago. What I've noticed about our community around the years, where in my early years, I was not involved in it, I only got involved in the past few years, is our community is rich, diverse, and certainly the Arab community, as Danielle pointed earlier, they benefited from being part of this diverse community while at the same time being geographically close. And I have to say, while there were some policies in Washington, D.C. that were enacted with the prior administration that have particularly hurt Muslim communities that were affected, for example, by Muslim bans, our immigrant communities benefited from the support of our local elected when we were facing hostility and when we were facing policies that were not in our best interest. And so it's important for us to stay together as one district, Bay Ridge and Diker. It's one of the reasons why I'm here today. And somehow I feel being an Arab in Bay Ridge gives us some unique issues. And many of our family members, they live between Bay Ridge, Diker Heights, 5th Avenue, 11th Avenue. We really spread. We think about Bay Ridge and Diker Heights as one entity. And our issues are unique, and in a lot of instances, they evolve with various administration in Washington, D.C. And I strongly believe, as a vulnerable member who could be impacted by some policies that are not in my community's best interest, we need to have a rep that advocates for us rather than being spread among various reps at the city council level. Many of our relatives lives in Diker Heights. Our kids may be attending one school in Bay Ridge, the middle school kid in Diker Heights. We all have these issues. And our issues are also discussed at the same community board, which is Community Board 10. Therefore, I strongly urge the commission to keep all of Bay Ridge from Shore Road on the west to 65th Street, in the north to 7th Avenue, on the east to the Belt Parkway, in the south, all wholly contained within the same council district. These boundaries would also add the towers of Bay Ridge into actually the Bay Ridge Council District, something that our community has been longing for quite some time. I also think that those boundaries, for a fact, those boundaries match up with both the Community Board 10 boundaries and the 68 police precinct, which only further demonstrate our longstanding precedent acknowledged by the city of New York that our area is one. So I would really like to urge this commission not to split Bay Ridge and Diker Heights into several council districts, because it would dilute our power. It would also dilute our voices and will make us vulnerable with evolving administrations outside of the city. And so to really have a fair, effective, and consolidated representation that we deserve in the city council, I'd like to ask you to keep Bay Ridge and Diker Heights in the same council district. Thank you very much for this work. Thank you to all those testifying today, and have a great night. And I'd like also to thank other fellow immigrants who came in person to testify. That's very important.
And thank you for your testimony as well. We'll do one more virtual, then we'll come back here in person. Roy Moskowitz.
Yes, hi, thank you. Would I be able to share my screen, by the way? Can I like to share my map?
You, within your timeline, by all means, it's up to you. It's your testimony.
Okay. Okay, this is my second redistricting submission. Despite my previous testimony, the latest draft of Staten Island's Mid-Island 50th District still leaves New Springville, Heartland Village, the neighborhood that most associate with Mid-Island, out, and keeps it in the South Shore 51st District. I know of no one who lives in that neighborhood that considers themselves a South Shore resident. I live in Castleton Corners, which is in the 50th Council District. The 50th is allegedly the Mid-Island District. I say allegedly because it does not contain where I lived from 94 to 06, New Springville, Heartland Village, and the Mall area, which are the neighborhoods most Islanders associate with Mid-Island. These neighborhoods are in the Mid-Island 63rd Assembly District, but inexplicably are part of the South Shore Council. 50th District components, Willowbrook and Manor Heights, and the 51st, New Springville and Heartland Village, have Richmond County's largest Jewish population. Despite Willowbrook and New Springville having shared borders as well as demographics, these neighborhoods instead share districts with less Jewish areas. I'm not great at map creation, so I asked a friend to add New Springville, Heartland Village to the Mid-Island District using the Redistricting Committee's mapping utility. I also asked him to keep Grasmere in the district because our current councilman lives in that neighborhood, and creating districts that will count members against each other in my suggestion automatically receive 0.
You're going in and out, sir.
He made different decisions than I would have made, but I'm including the map with my
sir, you're going in and out, mainly out right now, as far as. We'll hold you for a couple of more seconds and then suggest we lost you altogether now.
You see, I'm on now?
You're back on.
Okay, do you see my screen or no?
No, we haven't seen your screen at all. I mean, we see you, but we haven't seen a shared screen.
Okay, let me try and see if I can get that back.
You only have 25 seconds, so we haven't seen it at all. I would suggest maybe submit it, and that way.
I mean, I submitted the screen. Right again. Everybody see it?
Yeah.
So, okay, I live right here on Rice Avenue. New Springville is really around here. So, so we switched neighborhoods like Newdorf Beach and Oakwood over here into the South Shore. I'm sorry?
What I would suggest, I know you said you submitted it before, but I would suggest you submit it again because we're out of time, and I know you're about to give us a very detailed narrative and pointer demonstration on the neighborhood itself.
But I did lose about 30 seconds being losing.
Take it up right now.
Somehow lost
I don't. No, go ahead. I'll give you the 30.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I don't need to really go into this in great detail, but if you look at the map, here is the South Shore District. New Springville doesn't really belong there. And again, right in the middle of the island, that's the middle of the island. And I think all the mid-island neighborhoods should be united regardless who's representing them in the council. And that's my thing, and hopefully that'll get some consideration. It's ridiculous that that New Springville is in the South Shore.
And thank you for your testimony, sir.
Okay.
Okay, have a good day. Next, we'll go back in person, and is it Karen Contreras? That's okay, take your time.
Of the 49th district, and I'm frustrated that I have to be here on a Thursday afternoon to make sure that my voice is heard on an issue that fundamentally affects me and everyone that lives in the 49th. Changing our district means that my voice, my family's voice, and the voices of our Black and brown and minority communities are heard less. Our issues and their importance would become diluted and affect me and my neighbors' access to needed resources, access to advocacy, access to true representation. I'm here as a Staten Islander, I'm here as a social worker, and I'm here to be heard. Thank you.
And thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Kathleen Rivera?
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity. I was at the hearing back in July. I did speak very specifically about why we should not be lumped with Lower Manhattan, Financial District. I don't see that in the proposed maps now. I feel very happy about the proposed maps now. And if it is a numbers game, I keep hearing numbers game, I know that we're caught between a very poorly done census and the next census in 2030. What we're forgetting is that the North Shore has tremendous development going on. And between now and the 2030 census, we will have so many more constituents. So it is something to keep in mind. And I heard someone say, oh, just take the 49th and put it with the 50th. Just like we have nothing in common with Lower Manhattan and the Financial District. We are all Staten Islanders, but the concerns of the Mid-Island are not, absolutely not, the concerns of this community. And thank you for listening to us, and I really hope those proposed maps stay.
And thank you for your testimony. Antoinette, is it Donnery? Donegan, I'm sorry. I cannot say that.
Good evening. Thank you to the Chairman Walcott and the Commission Board and those in attendance. My name is Reverend Antoinette Donegan. I have lived for over 40 years in Staten Island, now resident in the Manus Harbor area. In addition, I currently serve as clergy member and community advocate in the Stapleton community, which falls in the 49th district of Staten Island. We are the most densely populated part of Staten Island. Many people live in poor housing. Many are rent burdened or on the edge of homelessness, suffering from great inequalities. We have many problems that come from a history of not providing for the integration and well-meaning of many communities of color, Black and brown, and many new immigrants who may not be accepted elsewhere, i.e. we have the largest Liberian and West African community, that we have the ever-growing Hispanic and Asian population. We are a borough without a public hospital. We have several infrastructure challenges which are uniquely different than the other proposed districts. We need to protect the rights and uphold the lives of those historically marginalized communities. Representation at the city council level that includes the whole North Shore will have a better chance of securing the much needed funds to create the programs for our youth, the healthcare, education, also to have more money towards gun violence and affordable housing that will provide a safer, healthier, and better trained and prepared North Shore community. Splitting the district takes away resources, including the time and energy of our council people, members, and redirects it to districts not like ourselves. It will reduce our ability to make positive change happen for the benefit of the minority communities of the North Shore. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Helen Settles?
Oops, sorry. I'm so compromised, so I'm gonna have to. There we go. Oh, it's back in. No. I'll hold on to it. Okay. Good evening. Good evening to Commissioner Walcott, the other commissioners, and of course, my friend, Mr. Flateau. My name is Helen Settles, and I am the Civic Engagement Chair of the Staten Island branch of the NAACP and a board member of Project Hospitality, Universal Temple of the Arts, Staten Island Special Olympics, and the founder of the Staten Island Unified Sports Program for Special Needs and General Education Children. The Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965 states that the abridgment of voting rights of a minority community is a violation of this law. The rejoin of the 49th Councilmanic District of the North Shore, would this be in violation of this law? I think so. The city charter of the City of New York requires that the council districts maintain a cohesive representation of Black, Brown, Asian, and other non-white communities. Why? This is in order to better represent those who presently live within the district. To split the North Shore and align it with Lower Manhattan, Brooklyn, or the Mid-Island is a disservice to the people of the North Shore who reside here today. The leadership or representatives' power would be eroded or diminished. There would be less resources available that would benefit and address the problems and issues that are germane to the North Shore's impoverished communities. For example, the Port Richmond and Mariners Harbor communities of Staten Island that was for years exposed to lead, arsenic, and because of improperly discarded industrial waste. We need the full attention of the North Shore's council member to fight for the resources that it will take to remediate the injustices that prevail for so many years in those communities. The North Shore represents a majority-minority community that has always historically been excluded from the resources for economic development, educational opportunities, adequate health care, and viable, affordable housing. outside of the NYCHA plague developments, that is. Sorry about that, guys. Got one hand here. It is going to need the complete attention of our 49th City Council member and should not be split in any way with any other borough or district. Resources being shared with other boroughs or districts would be a disenfranchisement to the minority communities of the North Shore. We must uplift the majority minority communities of the North Shore, not tear it down or dilute it. We need a full united North Shore district so that our council member can obtain and devote funds, resources, time, and effort to remediate and make all of our communities of the North Shore safe and livable for every resident of this district, especially our youth. Keep our North Shore district whole. Do not dilute it. And I thank you for this time.
And thank you for your testimony. We'll do one more in person, and then we'll go virtual again. Anel Villanueva.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Buenas tardes, miembros del
Do you need a
Consejo.
translator? Do you want to?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Mi nombre es Anel Villanueva. Ah,
Okay, good evening, everybody,
Buenas tardes, miembros del Consejo.
members of the council.
Can
Mi
you just
nombre
speak up a
es
little? So the
My name is
Anel Villanueva.
Anel Villanueva.
Yo soy residente de la costa norte
I'm a resident of the North Shore
de Staten Island,
of Staten Island,
orgullosamente latina,
proudly Latina,
y soy parte del 63%
and I'm part of the 63%
de la población
of the population
de personas de color.
of people of color.
La mayoría de la gente de la costa norte
The majority of the people of the North Shore,
necesitamos estar juntos.
we need to be together.
Toda la costa norte
All of the North Shore
no se debe dividir.
should not be divided.
Si se divide,
If it gets divided,
el distrito bajaría
the district would go down,
el poder de votar de la gente de color,
would lose the voting power of people of color.
la gente que somos una minoría en los Estados Unidos.
Those of us who are a minority in the United States.
Esto puede ser un hecho
This could be an act
contra la Ley Federal del Derecho de Votar de 1965.
against the Federal Voting Acts law of 1965.
Gracias por permitirme dar mi testimonio en español.
Thank you for allowing me to give my testimony in Spanish.
Esta es una de las maravillas de vivir en un distrito tan diverso.
This is one of the marvels of living in such a diverse district.
Y mi petición para el día de hoy a ustedes, señores concejales,
And my petition for you today, commissioners,
no dividan el distrito 49.
do not divide District 49.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Gracias. Gracias. Thank you for your testimony. Now we'll go back to virtual, and is it Rodrigo Camarena?
No, I believe I'm next. Mary Bullock.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon, committee. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. My name is Rodrigo Camarena. I am a longtime immigrant advocate and a resident of Sunset Park, now known as the 38th Council District. I'm a former member of Community Board 7, and I'm here to strongly support maintaining this community intact. The community of Sunset Park has historically been underrepresented. For a long time, we had 5 senators representing this very district, and it's time to ensure that this minority community retain its power in the city council by keeping the communities of Red Hook and Sunset Park united. These are working class immigrant communities that have been historically united by a shared waterfront and a shared history dealing with the climate crisis and underinvestment. For many years, this community has fought nail and tooth for resources that have not been delivered, and further diluting the power of this very district to include neighboring communities is going to further dilute the efficacy of our leaders to bring us the resources that we need. Thank you so much for your consideration, and thank you for retaining the 30th Council District as it currently is, and retaining the community of Sunset Park united with the working class, low-income neighbors in Red Hook. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Next up, Mary Bullock.
You need to unmute.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, Mary Bullock.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for including we Zoomers. Staten Island's unique character is on display in its many small businesses. My website, postcardsfromtherails.com, documents my journey along the entire length of the Staten Island Railway from Tottenville to St. George. Photos taken from the train platforms, which are overwhelmingly surrounded by business districts, show only one business that is not a Staten Island local business, the McDonald's franchise sign at Stapleton. Small businesses anchoring communities is particularly manifest in Port Richmond due to the strong sense of community and the perseverance of Port Richmond's white and Black middle class and hardworking immigrant families, including its many legacy businesses. There are 77 restaurants registered with New York City and Port Richmond. They survived the pandemic due to their local nature. There is recent healthy small business development on Port Richmond Avenue. Attendees of Port Richmond Strong Civic Association's Small Business Annual Summit include longtime pillars of the community. These individuals are responsible for employment, contribute to the tax rolls, and provide goods and services for anyone living or shopping in Port Richmond. Port Richmond Avenue businesses are particularly local. Many are women and/or minority-owned or legacy businesses. We agree with the Daily News that Mayor Adams' Small Business Forward represents the most wide-ranging, comprehensive review of city regulations in recent memory. We believe this program's positive effect on this most vital segment of New York City life, particularly dominant on Staten Island, will be amplified by keeping all 3 Staten Island City Council districts exclusively on island. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Next is it Kate Kuko?
Hello, my name's Kate Kuko, and I'm a resident of Brooklyn. I actually reside right on the border of Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights within the confines of the 43rd Council District. I'd like to thank Chair Walcott and members of the Districting Commission, and I echo what some of the previous testifiers have stated, and that it's a thankless job. So I appreciate you doing this and holding these hearings. I will be brief. I just want to state I am an active member of our community. I am a former member of the 6-8 Precinct Community Council, a member of several civic and organizational groups. And I feel it is extremely imperative that we maintain the historic communities of interest and preserve and support both the emerging and enduring ethnic and religious enclaves that reside within the neighborhoods of Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights. And I would also like to echo that it is true that Bay Ridge and Dyker Heights overlap significantly with existing city agencies and boundaries, including School District 20, Community Board 10, 6-8 Precinct, and the Department of Sanitation's District 10 garage. I just think this further highlights the importance of keeping these deep-rooted, historic, and long-lasting communities together in the same council district. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Next, virtually, is Jennifer Ratner.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, and see you. Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm Jennifer Ratner. I'm the board chair and founder of Friends of the East River Esplanade, 60th to 120th Streets. We are the conservancy for the waterfront park in Manhattan that spans that area on the east side. We advocate for a linear park that is historically continuous. And with the new redistricting, this over a mile of this park, or approximately a mile, would move literally from Manhattan, from City Council District 5 into the Queens District, City Council District 26. Now, I love Queens, but our linear park and green space needs representation from a local politician on our side of the East River. From the start, when I started advocating for this under-resourced waterfront that was literally falling in with sinkholes going down to the East River and large sections that are cut off, we have worked over the past decade or so really closely hand in hand with Council District 5's city council members, whether it was Lappin initially, Kalos, and now with Julie Menon, to slowly repair and revitalize this underserved park. And now finally, this park is going to be strung together only to be split apart, and like a big section of it be represented by with the proposed redistricting, be represented by a Queens City Council member, which seems very arbitrary in our opinion. And what's more, and really important, so we have capital funding that comes from our city council members. We have funding that comes from that goes to our nonprofit from the city council member, where we provide free programming, music programming, free ice cream for literally thousands of people every year in the communities in Manhattan. But also what's more is our city council member acts as a really important liaison with the Manhattan Borough Division of New York City Parks, which is an extremely important role because this park is in Manhattan and not in Queens. So I am testifying on behalf of the thousands of community members that run, bike, walk, stroll, fish, and basically relax on this waterfront that soon is going to be a really fabulous waterfront, because it all won't be as chopped up as it's been over the past decade or so and falling in. There are areas that are getting totally repaired, and we are imploring you not to kind of chop it up again by this redistricting. We really appreciate all that you're doing. Again, we love Queens. They have their own waterfront. We'd like our waterfront to be represented by a Manhattan City Council member. And I just want to say one last thing, which is beyond a thanks to your committee. I really, really think that all of these advocates from all these other boroughs deserve a huge round of applause, because it's so amazing to be in, quote unquote, in the same room with all of you advocating for your own communities. And I'm really honored to be a part of this group. So thanks again.
And thank you for your work and your testimony as well. Going back to in person, it's Robert Perkins.
Good afternoon. I was still on. We had several barbecues. I'm still waiting for you. Oh. Wow. Well, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen of the commission, I really appreciate you all coming out to Staten Island and really considering the things we were saying. Now, it's not to recapitulate everything everybody was saying, but here we go. I'll keep it brief. I've been a resident for 30 years on Staten Island, and while many changes have slowly taken place, and surely have a long way to go, please don't allow the goalposts to keep getting moved and moved and moved every time we seem to be getting on the right track, because that seems to be an ongoing story with Staten Island. Listening to the other people from the other boroughs, it seemed like it's not a woe be me bunch of communities, but caring, collective, collaborative boroughs of people who are in search of a normal quality of life that is first earned and secondly deserved, without any of the outside borough interference or political advantages sought out through this process. And please take that to heart. Also, a lot of this talk has political flavor sprinkled throughout it. My prayer is that you listen to the voices that really care. The people of all boroughs speaking the same language about maintaining. They share the same sentiment, but one of the things I stressed before, and I'm going to stress again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Please let Staten Island continue to be Staten Island. These people you see out here is real. These are the people that actually invested so much, and to put all your money into something and then just see it swept from under your feet. How long can we continue to allow this to go on? Thank you for hearing me out.
And thank you once again for your testimony. Is it Abu Chikate?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Abu Sijate. I'm here to share my testimony as an advocate and community organizer who carry the interests of the community at heart. As co-chair of the Staten Island Immigrant Council, I urge that we keep the currently circulated first draft of the North Shore Council District. We don't want to go back to square one. We as a community, we are indivisible, and we don't want to be divided. We have been working so hard to fill the gap when it comes to inclusion, diversity, or increased access to resources for the most vulnerable or underserved population. With redistricting on the horizon, a split of the council district between Staten Island and Brooklyn, or Staten Island and Manhattan, will have a negative impact as each Staten Island has its own reality. We are unique as a borough. As someone who have been advocating for the community for almost 20 years, I can tell you firsthand that we have different needs and priority based on the constituency that we serve. With the migration flow now, as you all aware, increase in New York City, we need to protect the right and uplift the life of those historically marginalized community. Additionally, making some change as its budgeting constraint. We have different perception on issue compared to other boroughs, so please not let that be vain. Splitting the district take away resources, including the time and energy of our council member, and redirect to district not like ourselves. It will reduce our ability to make positive change that happen for the benefit of the minority community of the North Shore. Representation at the city council level that include the whole North Shore will have a better chance in securing the much needed funds to create the program such as healthcare, education system, and affordable housing, which is critical now in our district, as the cost of living in New York City is outrageous. Housing, access affordable housing is one of them. And therefore, Chairman, I would like to urge you not to jeopardize Staten Island voting power by dividing the district. It is important that we keep the currently circulated first draft map of the North Shore Council District. We look forward to the outcome of this public hearing on the future of city council map. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And thank you for your time, and thank you very much for your testimony. Reverend Valerie Grant Martin.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Please
Could you-
give them a big round of applause. I heard somebody requesting that earlier on. Thank you. As you well know, I'm Reverend Valerie Grant Martin. I'm representing Holy Fellowship Ministry in West Brighton and Project Hospitality and my family. The key word, because everybody has spoken and they say pretty much what I wanted to say. But the key word this evening is uniqueness. Look in front of you. You see the difference? Many, but one. We are together. In the pandemic, we were there. 9/11, we were there. All over the place, helping other people. Do you know that during the census, the last census, there were people, including myself, from here, Staten Island, who were all the way in Louisiana, Texas, New Jersey, Toms River, Atlantic City, taking census. Why? Some people didn't want to do it. But we were there. We are small, but we are united. And when called to duty, it doesn't matter where, Timbuktu, wherever, we are there. So my thing is, to reiterate, it doesn't make sense because everybody has really said what I wanted to say. I'm going to ask you, keep it together. Keep Staten Island as it is. All the districts that come in 49, keep it together. Focus more on the needs. And as Habu said, well eloquently said, housing is our key factor right now. It is critical out there. So let us focus, take off that, leave that alone, leave it together. We're strong like that. Leave that part and focus on the needs right now. This is all I have to say. God bless you all.
And thank you for your testimony. Andres, is it Gerda? Garcia. Oh, okay.
Sorry, that's chicken scratch. Good evening, everybody. Commission,
Good evening.
thank you very much for taking the time to listen to all of these testimonies. I'll try to keep it brief. My name is Andres Garcia. I am the executive director at El Centro Inmigrante. And my point today is to talk to you about the importance of voice. You've heard so many voices today, but the power of voice is only as good as the power of being heard. Me and my staff and my members have actually just come directly from a public forum with the commissioner from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs and the director of New York City Cares, a healthcare provider here in the city. And we spoke to the immense need of access to medical services and healthcare here on the island, specifically the North Shore. And we are here to express the support for the proposed map that you've all put forth that retains Staten Island as Staten Island, that does not divide us and our voice between other boroughs, between different aspects of the districts that inherently retain their character in this proposed map. We're asking you not to change anything because the way that the districts are currently being proposed allows our voice to be heard. We are able to speak to these issues because we are part of the 49th District, because the Immigrant Center of Staten Island is located in Port Richmond, and it's in the heart of the 49th District. And we're able to speak to these issues, and we're able to have the way that we speak, the voices that speak to these issues be heard because of the current proposed, what would you say? The proposed unity of these districts. So I hope you hear that above all else. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony, sir. Benedict Snyder.
Greetings to you all. I'm not going to repeat what everyone have already said, because I'm sure they articulated the same message that we all are driving towards. Please leave it as it is, for three reasons. One, it fragments the strength that our immigrant community have when it comes to pushing and fighting for our rights. It also put us at disadvantage economically. If you're going to combine us with a district that is as powerful as Manhattan, we do not have that ability to compete. We could get there, but as it is, that's a saying, if it is not broken, don't fix it, because you only try, and while trying, you're going to break it apart. So please, our appeal to you today, just leave it as it is, and let us enjoy this unity that we have within our community for our own progress. God bless you all.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. So we're going to do something a little bit different in that we're going to take a 10-minute break. And so it is now 7:06. So 7:16 or thereof will reconvene. So a 10-minute break.